Pacific for Bill Change and also our Nepal country representative. She brings 18 years of expertise in structural engineering and resilient housing. She leads projects in Nepal, the Philippines, and Indonesia, providing technical oversight and collaborating with governments on housing policies. It has been my pleasure working with Liva since she first joined our team. I'm pleased to welcome her to share her experience advising the government of Nepal and the UN Office of Project Services, along with many other partner organizations after the 2015 earthquake, and also share what the opportunities are in Nepal for going forward and improving housing resilience. Liva?
Thank you, Lizzie. So as we know, Nepal is the 4th most vulnerable country in the world due to climate change and the 11th most at risk due to earthquakes. In 2015, there was a huge earthquake and over 500,000, 500,000 houses were fully damaged, and about 250,000 were partially damaged, according to the post-disaster needs assessment carried out by the National Planning Commission. Looking at other studies, it was found that 74% of the affected houses, of the damaged houses, were of rural typology. When I say rural typology, these are adobe houses or the stone houses that Mr. Imai mentioned in his presentation. So in 2015, Bill Change started its post-disaster programs after the earthquake, and in 2022, we started our prevention program. Well, when we started working in Nepal in 2015 after the earthquake, we started with a housing subsector study. Where we learned that rural typology was the most affected, and the government at that time were providing subsidies for both reconstruction as well as retrofitting. Although we found that retrofitting was a very new concept for communities. They were familiar with repair, they were familiar with new construction, but retrofitting was an area that was mostly very confusing and unfamiliar for the rural population, as well as for engineers, many engineers. So we also looked at the available materials and skills, and we designed a retrofit type design. We found out that retrofitting was about 1/3 of the cost of building a new equally resilient structure. And a carbon study that Bill Change carried out found out that retrofitting saves 70% carbon emission compared to a new construction. And looking at these traditional houses, which are typically 2 stories with an attic, this larger space was very much important for the rural communities, which was based mostly on, lifestyle was based mostly on farming. We also found out that there was very limited information as to designing a stone masonry structure. So we also had to carry out a lot of lab exploration for these type of walls, as well as different types of connections. So we established a technical assistance platform, and the first part of this platform was the Build Back Better awareness apparatus, in which we had things such as community theaters, a Surakshit Ghar mobile application, we had community ambassador programs. Another part of this platform was a network of technical support centers. So these centers were providing information and advice to homeowners on how to reconstruct properly. But most importantly, the center was also providing architectural and structural design packages to homeowners. So over the period of 3 years, we had about 34 technical support centers provided designs to more than 5,000 homeowners at that time. And we also had a technical assistance platform, a mobile application-based technical assistance platform, so supporting homeowners in quality check of their houses and providing on-site sort of advice to homeowners who were reconstructing. Another major part of our assistance platform is the capacity building. So we had capacity building programs for homeowners, for builders, for engineers, and we used different methods such as competency-based trainings, we used on-the-job trainings, we used classroom-based sessions, so all that. And then we had the type design approach for retrofitting. So we came to know that right after a disaster with so much retrofit to be designed, a one-on-one design approach was just not feasible. So we had a type design approach as well, and then we used technology to make that design process more efficient in terms of we use field site for data collection. We used Revit and other programs to make the design process in hours as compared to it would take days otherwise. So we also had these different, we published these different resources, and there's a QR code that you can access if you're interested. Now we learned that there's an acute need to increase awareness for future risks. There's a need to promote good construction practices, especially when it comes to resilient housing, because people want to build a strong house, but they're using larger rebars, spending on that, but they don't know how to make connections to these rebars at connections. They don't know how to lap these rebars. They don't know how to put adequate hook size. So these sort of things, there's an acute need to promote that. Also, there's ensuring the consistent supply of quality construction materials is extremely important, as Ms. Imai also mentioned, especially when it comes to retrofitting. Things such as wire mesh, Gabriel wires are not readily available everywhere, so that was very important. And then also improving the supply of skilled workers. We address that by constructing model houses and training workers in the process. And then we also found out that it's extremely important to incentivize retrofitting with subsidies, because otherwise homeowners are not ready to take up retrofitting yet. There's also a need to improve access to financing. There's a need to introduce incremental strengthening, because homeowners cannot afford to do everything all at once. So we need to give them this incremental approach where they can then afford to do one increment at a time. Now, moving towards a more resilient future, we are shifting our program to a preventative strengthening approach, and we're emphasizing on holistic resilience. So we're not just looking at earthquake resilience, we're also looking at climate stress, we're also looking at habitability improvements, and then we're also putting our focus on understanding homeowner preferences. So, and especially in terms when we're working with an incremental approach to see what's the spending capacity level of homeowners, and how we design these increments to suit that level. So we're working on that. And then we're also currently supporting home-based businesses such as homestays. So Nepal is a beautiful country. There are many homeowners who sublet their house to foreigners or even national tourists to stay in their house. So we're sort of supporting them to invest in strengthening their house, so that they can have an increased business. So we're taking that approach as well. And then we're improving access to finance for retrofitting these houses by partnership with a microfinance institution, and improving access to finance through loans. And then we're providing technical support to the National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Authority in their various recovery and reconstruction works. One of the work, we had a recent earthquake in Jajakot. We are demonstrating retrofits in that area. We're demonstrating retrofits with two methods, splint and bandage, as well as strong back method. So these are some of the things we're doing. Our impact in Nepal are these figures. And with that, I come to the end of my presentation. Thank you.